Yeah, I definitely want to make sure I give you guys your kudos. I saw the interviews, most of them for FPA, and
Oh, cool.
even the stuff you guys did at Viva. You've come a long way. So
Well,
happy for you
you should see
guys.
what we've got in store for Viva this year. We are
Yeah.
going to be center stage in the middle of the expo in a glass fishbowl in what was the networking area there in the middle. That's what we're going to be this year. So we've gone from the lobby
That
to the dance floor.
With 50 plus years of combined produce, supply chain, entrepreneurial, and business experience, Craig Slade and Ed Bertad discuss the impacts of fresh produce on their lives and health. This podcast is a casual conversation between two friends just trying to get better. This is the Fresh CrEd.
in 1 year.
1 year. Yeah, it's
1 year.
yeah, it's been quite a ride. What we've got over have we clicked over 70 episodes? I know this we're going into our second year, which is crazy to think, but we're moving into our second year. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, February, March is officially our second year anniversary. If our crack producer was here, he would be able to whip that stat out really quick. But I know we're pretty close. But I think we're about 70 episodes in, depending on how you count the stuff we did at IPA and how we push those. If we count those individual episodes, yeah, we're I think over 70. So
The number one podcast broadcasting jointly from Southern Arizona and South Texas. I'm just going to go out on a limb. I don't know if that's true.
Hey, it is definitely diversified podcast, right? I mean, that's, we've had so many people dial in thinking they're going to hear strictly about produce, only to find out, well, it's about produce sometimes, but it could be anything about world-class swimmers to real estate investors to outstanding produce persons like yourself. So, yeah, it's a pretty diversified deal, but, yeah.
I think my favorite
Go
parts,
ahead.
my favorite parts, my favorite parts have been hearing just the stories, the history that you have with your guest is so cool, and the stories you guys run into, and just the conversations, and you kind of connect with. Oh man, I got a little history of Craig, and I think the most really cool stuff.
Well,
You can't
we
unknow.
appreciate that. And so, yeah, this is the first show of 2023. You're the first repeat guest we've had on here. And there was another first. Oh, this is going to be the first podcast that doesn't run over an hour.
Yes, let's do that, because our last podcast we had a part 1 and a part 2.
Yeah. So we are going to try and keep all. So we'll try and keep all the pods under an hour is the plan for 2023 as well. Just what is it? Brevity is something. Brevity is.
Let's shoot for 30 minutes. And
it's good.
We'll go an hour.
Yeah.
I was impressed with Craig, because during those interviews, it was you that was almost the timekeeper in those meetings. Like, Ed, I know you want to ask more questions, but I'm going to have to limit you on this
one. Oh my
one.
gosh, Ashley, thank you. And yeah, but you know what? I mean, I've been trying to tell you guys, everybody wants to accuse me of being the talk a lot guy, and it's not me. So thank you, Ashley. Finally, I get some credibility that Ed's the guy that freaking drags this thing out, not me.
Hey,
I'll
but who was your friend's daughter? Her nickname for you was Craig Long Talker?
Yes.
Is that what I heard?
Yeah.
I was like, Craig Long Talker. That's hilarious.
Oh my gosh, my family. Yeah, my family. I think they're gonna have shirts made for me. Yeah, they've never let me live that down, and that's kind of become my nickname for sure. And I guess I have to own it for sure. Hey, as we go into this weekend, so the other thing's going to be, that's the other thing that's going to be new. So we're these podcasts where we were doing them and dropping them a week later, and sometimes they lack time relevance. We'd talk about things, these are going to be within a couple of days. Our crack produce team has said that they would turn these around. So we're still looking to drop Sunday nights, first thing Monday morning. But it will be within a couple of days of us recording this thing. So I say that because this weekend is really important. Does anybody know what's relevant and important about this weekend?
Cowboys are
Ed,
playing the Niners.
anybody?
Okay, so it's not Super Bowl.
Oh, that's it right there. So if you can see here, I've got this is for a Dia de
Oh, Niners and Cowboys.
yeah. So this is from
Niners and Cowboys.
Dia de Muertos here in Tucson, Arizona. I had this made just for this weekend. So through the Super Bowl. I'm going to the Super Bowl when they get there in Phoenix. So I'll be there. I'll take this with me for good luck. So, and for those of you who can't see it, it's a Day of the Dead skull with a cowboy hat on. So all the best to the Dallas Cowboys. When you guys drop this, either you'll know that I'll be super happy when this drops, or super sad.
Okay, so to start with boxing, I am still very involved with boxing. In fact, sneak peek, only because I know a lot of boxers probably don't watch this podcast, but Macias Boxing Academy will be hosting the Golden Gloves of Austin, Texas. So our gym had gotten selected to host Golden Gloves. I'm super excited about that. So I'll keep all the details secret for now in case the information does get leaked out. But boxing is still very much part of my life. I am back at the office 5 days a week, so I don't get to go to boxing 4 or 5 days a week. I get to go 2, maybe 3 if I'm lucky. So what I did was I started a wellness challenge at work that's going to keep me motivated to keep working out. And I'm going to plan for us to be working out early mornings at our HEB gym or during our lunch period. So that's how I'm going to stay active while I'm working back in San Antonio. Because as you guys know, I drive from Pflugerville, Texas, which is about an hour and a half commute in the mornings. And it could be anywhere from 2 to 3 hours commute on my way back home. And I know firsthand with me doing that first year that if you allow that commute to take over, you won't get any exercise in. You'll just have an excuse that you're on the road and you won't do it. But this year, I'm not going to let that happen. I have a good start at work. I have a good support group that is also on their wellness journey, and we're gonna do this and work out early mornings or work out.
So did you guys put in a gym up there?
We have a gym. We've had there's a gym. So our office is located off Rittiman.
Yeah,
right around the corner, about a mile away. We have an HEB.
Okay. So it's just
gym.
not there at the facility where your offices are. It's just around the corner. Okay. Just real quick, and I've got to send you the link on it. So my son moved to Vegas. He graduated ASU. He moved up to Vegas. And part of the reason, or really the main reason he moved up there is a couple of his college friends. One of them is a boxing aficionado. I mean, the parent of this kid knows it backwards and forwards. I mean, history, the whole deal, just super passionate. But they went up and they do I don't know what you call when you do the video. Is it a vlog? So it's not a pod. It's like a video broadcast. I don't know. Well, I don't know what the acronym or what you should say, but anyhow, they do these boxing interviews. And they actually partnered with a gym that's up there in Vegas, one of the big gyms. It's downtown Vegas, or it's in right there, not far off the Strip. Anyway, long and short of it is my son's not necessarily he's not really about the boxing. He's doing some of the video and the production piece of it, but his roommate and, part of what they're doing up there is shooting these boxing interview videos, and they're doing some live stuff like, boxing events coming to town, and they're doing stuff. So I don't know, maybe this boxing thing's got a resurgence over the cage fighting stuff, and maybe this is it's coming back.
I admittedly will give that credit to the Paul brothers. They're those YouTube stars. Do you know Logan Paul and Jake Paul?
No, I have zero knowledge outside of Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard. After that, I don't know much about boxing.
Yeah, so these guys, let's not call them boxers, but they are YouTubers, YouTube entertainers,
Yeah.
that happen to enjoy boxing, and they are filthy rich, and they're able to get really high class names that are in the athlete world, from football players to other YouTubers to retired boxers to retired MMA. They're able to get them in the ring and box.
Hmm.
And I really think that the attraction they brought is the younger generation back into boxing. And I haven't seen, over the last couple years, we've had more boxers come into the gym, more people wanting to learn boxing, and they got exposed first from the Jake Paul and Logan Paul,
Huh.
the Paul brothers. And at first we would get a little irritated because we're like, they're not real boxers. But after doing my research, they're doing the training. They have legit coaches. They do take the sport seriously. I wouldn't agree that they're fighting fair people. Like current boxers in their weight class. I wouldn't agree that it's necessarily a fair fight, but I do give them their props for bringing attention to the sport and getting people back interested.
Well, I have to, like I say, I have to connect you with Fight Guys. I think that's the name of their show, Fight Guys, and yeah, his roommate that's up there. Yeah, his nickname is Clop Show, and I don't exactly know what the origin of the name Clop Show is, but he's quite the personality, and like I say, he knows it backwards, and I mean he's one of those folks that just he's that's where his passion's at, and he knows it back. None of these guys are boxers, so they're not boxing anybody. They're just doing shows. But anyway, I'll get you that. All right, so that's boxing. That caught us up there. What about your health journey? Because
Yeah, remind us.
I know you and Ed are working together on
Ashley,
some stuff. So
remind us where you're at when you were with us last. I think you were about halfway through the clean eating challenge, were you? Or you had already gone through it? I don't remember.
Okay, so we had just wrapped up. I think we just wrapped up the clean eating challenge, and it was. I literally found out. I think that week that I was being asked to be a mentor for the next clean eating challenge. Um, so if I remember correctly, when we were talking last was when I was just in a better place, with my health and my confidence, and with how I was accepting lupus. Am I the first and only person to cry on your show now that I think about it?
I might have cried before you.
Because I remember crying on that show
I
a
actually
little
think
bit.
Ed cried on our first episode, so I think he broke the seal. So
Okay,
don't worry about it.
good, good. Yeah, I remember it was still a very sensitive topic, but I was just getting used to talking about it. And Craig, you're the one who probably forced the whole story out of me during that podcast. So since then, I think we ended the show with what's next, like what do I want to do, and I kind of let y'all know in on my childhood dream of joining the
Mm-hmm.
military and wanting to go into the Air Force, and let you guys know that I wasn't I think I said I wasn't ignorant to the fact that I may not be able to get in because of my condition. But it wasn't going to stop me from trying. And that year I did. I looked into it. I talked with a recruiter. I went to go visit the facility at Fort Sam and learn about like the basic training, what I would be going through if I got to get in. Long story short, I was going to have to stay off medication for 2 years in order to be considered to be qualified. So I talked with my husband and asked him what he would feel comfortable with me researching and doing before I made that decision to go cold turkey and stop taking medication. Because again, I was 36 at the time. So if I had to be off medication for 2 years, and my last year to join the Air Force was 38, like I I was going to have to start last year. And my husband is supportive. He's never going to tell me I can't do anything. So he just told me, go talk to all your doctors, every single one of them, hear what they have to say. You're smart enough to know if it's worth it. So I did. I talked with my dermatologist. I talked with my primary care doctor, talked with my nutritionist, talked with my rheumatologist. They all advised not to, and they all gave me good reasons on what could happen to the extreme if I decided to go cold turkey and get off all medication. And the nutritionist, I was really trying to see if she had some holistic views on this, that maybe I could really dig deeper into my nutrition and take specific foods that would help. And even she was just not, it was just too, it was a lot to try to take in because of the stress that comes with joining the military too, right? Getting yelled at, the exercise, the short time of sleep. So made the decision that it was a great dream. I have tons of friends and family that support our country for me, and I have tons of outlets to support our veterans and support our military. So I gave it a try. I'm not going to be joining the military, and that's okay.
Well, that's wow. Yeah, still, as we talked back then, it's pretty amazing that you were still going to even consider chasing that, and then much less with all the obstacles you had. So, yeah, I can't say. I mean, I don't know all the different things, but I can say as any of my family members or my wife, I would have probably I wouldn't have told her she couldn't do it, but I would have sure begged her not to. So, that's good to hear that you made a try at it, but it's also good to hear that you're not going to be gone to the Air Force. You couldn't do the podcast if you're in the stinking Air Force. So, we won't be able to have you on here. So.
Oh, we'd figure a way.
Yeah.
We'd have to follow that.
I
We'd
like
have to
how
follow
you
that for sure.
And my husband knows me better than I know myself. And he already knew the answer, and he knew I just needed to
Do your due
I
diligence.
needed enough people to tell me no. Yeah, I needed enough people to tell me no, it's not a good idea before I, before I make decisions for myself. But I went hardcore this year to pay it forward, share my story. I did a mentor for the Clean Eating Challenge. My team was called Team Fresh and Fab. Wonderful set of people that I love to death and I'm still very close friends with to this date. One of my clean eating mentees became a mentor for 2023. I'm super proud of her, Miss Megan. And that was the start of my journey of just talking more and realizing that I can inspire people. So I got to talk at the Viva show. I was one of the guest speakers at the YTIPA, and that didn't even have anything to do with healthy eating or clean eating. It was just about my career journey and talking to the younger generation on, how to find themselves as people and how to believe in themselves and kind of understand the difference between mentors out there and coaches out there. I got to talk in front of my diversity council and about my heritage, about my love for produce, about the backstory of my hero, my grandpa and my grandma, my Ojeda family, migrant workers, and the connection of me being a buyer now and how proud I am to carry the name from us harvesting fruits and vegetables to me buying fruits and vegetables for, a company of over 300 stores. I'm serving my second year as a clean eating mentor. And like I told you earlier, I'm now, we had Ed and I served on the panel at the Viva show. And I had told everybody one of my goals is to create a wellness challenge at my work, and not wait, for a specific time frame that the company is doing it, and just see if we can get something going. And sure enough, that's what I'm doing right now. Our 90-day wellness challenge started today, and if my vision goes how I want it to go, this is the first annual, and we'll make it a second annual and a third annual, and just keep growing it from the procurement office to the produce partners to, who knows, total company maybe. um, I am serving as a co-chair on my HEB Gen. So I have 18 years with HEB. And what I do with this committee is we connect brand new partners with veteran partners. I'm a true believer that there's so much tribal knowledge with people who have lots of years underneath their belt with HEB that need to be shared with these people who are just coming to the company, and it shouldn't take a decade for them to find that information. So my goal on this committee is to connect all those youngins with our veterans faster.
So now are you a youngin or are you a veteran? Where do you fit
I'm a
in?
veteran in
Are
the
you,
HEB world. I'm a veteran in the HEB world.
damn.
But I still have a lot to learn. The Ana Lopez's that have over 20 years. 20, what is she, 30
She's
years?
we talked with her at Viva Fresh, and I want to say it's 26, 27, I think, somewhere in
28
that.
at the time.
Yeah. Of course, yeah, I'm working on an old memory up here, so I wouldn't count too much on me being very accurate. So, but so yeah, well, that's quite you've had quite the 2022. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
2022 treated me good and bad. It definitely pushed me to keep taking those risks and push me past what I thought was possible. And like I said, my ultimate goal for 2022 was to pay it forward and be inspirational.
Well, she's definitely
and
doing
hopefully
it.
this is
I've witnessed it firsthand, and I give Ashley a lot of credit because she's obviously younger than you and I, Craig, by a long shot. But leadership comes easier for some people than others, and I feel like Ashley is a real leader, and I at almost 50, I barely feel comfortable. I wouldn't say barely, but let's say I feel less comfortable giving folks advice as if I know anything. But Ashley, from a mentor perspective, took to it like a duck to water. So yeah, I've seen her in action. She's really good with people, and I mean, she had a great personality before she started the cleaning challenge. But I see more energy from her even, and not Ashley, I didn't know you for very long before you started the challenge, but you can tell, like, you feel great, you got great energy, both physically and from a personality perspective. So I think I'm very happy for you. I think you're definitely what I don't know, Craig, is the outcome what you had in mind when we were talking about the cleaning challenge 4 years ago?
Yeah, obviously well past anything I had thought about at the time. But yeah, I mean, originally for me, it was those of us in the business not talking about it, but actually living the example. And yeah, I think Ashley fits that to a T, right? We spend a lot of time, how do we get so and so to eat more produce? How do we get kids to eat more produce? Or how do we just get general U.S. population? Well, really the best way to influence people, honestly, is be a living example. And that's really for me, the industry and people in the industry in that cleaning challenges, being that living example and showing what kind of difference it makes. That resonates far more, I would think, with consumers or with people that are not in the business far more than us telling them you should eat more carrots or you should eat more of this. I mean, everybody knows they're healthy, but yeah. Yeah, and Nash, I mean, for this show too, which we really, when Ed and I started this, there wasn't, we had a general idea of what we were doing, but it was mostly just so Ed and I could get on here and talk to each other. We thought that'd be fun for a minute, but no, it's really about exactly what having somebody like you on here is there's somebody potentially listening, even just 1-2 people, right? Listen, and it's the story you told before or what you tell on this show today. I mean, it's all about, you living your life and your struggles and the things that you face and your dreams of being in the Air Force or whatever. And that, ideally that'll resonate with somebody that's listening, and that's really kind of what this thing, we hope, comes out of it. It's besides just me and Ed enjoying talking to each other, hopefully, now that we're talking to other people, through some of these stories, people actually garner something, entertainment for sure. But besides entertainment, it's really about, how do we pay it forward? How do we make a difference out there in the 45, 50 minutes that people are on here? So.
And communicate what we know is possible. And I mean, I know I've got a lot of improving to do, and really shortening that learning curve. And I mean learning by coming to the conclusion, which, Ashley, you've come to that conclusion. Obviously, you had some medical challenges that I'm not sure if you knew or didn't know how much diet was a part of, what you were struggling with, but obviously you've, come to the conclusion and have taken the necessary steps to improve your circumstances and like just shortening that learning curve, like for everybody. I struggle with communicating it to people. I know what this whole exercise has done for me, and I wish I could just download it to somebody and say, look, this is what it could be like, or this is how you could feel, or this is what, in the future, what the future holds for you. And so I struggle with not being patient enough. I think you're much better at it. You realize that everybody has a different MO and different, motivation as well. So that's really good. I'm trying to learn from you on that, from that perspective.
That's really awesome. So with our clean eating challenge, they set us up as mentors and double. And I realized that, as in case you didn't know, I'm a control freak. I like organization. I like agendas. If I don't have any control, then I just like to be surprised and wing it. And with Ed, I've learned with our styles together that I have to just kind of wing it. And it's been neat to see certain areas of how Ed is a mentor, how he mentors, and what our mentees take to, and vice versa, what they take to me. And the more experience, the more we work with new people, the more we collaborate with others. You realize very quickly that there's no right way of doing things. And I like what you said, like, you're might be learning from me and I'm learning from you. And, when you are my mentor, I would have never guessed that you would be learning from me. So it's pretty neat to hear.
The teacher has become the student. All right. So Ashley and Ed, here's a question for you both. All right. So we're going to go both ways. And so we'll start off. So 2022, what was your...
Do we get to pose a question as well?
Well, you can pose. Yeah. These are my questions. This is, I think it's important. First of the year, end of the last year, first this year. So least favorite thing in 2022.
Oh, Ashley, please, you first.
This was supposed to be lighthearted.
Well,
for the rest of the conversation.
You can pick anything. Nobody knows whether it really is your least favorite or not, right? It's all up to you whether how far down the rabbit hole you go. So,
yeah. Do you have one, Ed?
I hadn't really thought about it.
Well, was your canoe trip in 2022 or was canoe trip in 23, Ed?
That was in 22. So the best part of that was I survived.
Okay, well, we hadn't got the best part. We're on worst part of 2022.
So okay, well, I almost drowned. So that was like my least favorite part.
That's that. Okay. Yours is easy, right?
Several times.
So we're going to have more context around your drowning story, right? Because And I don't think it will be. I mean, he can't tell. We don't have time for him to give you the whole story of everything. But I just know that Ed had to be a good swimmer.
Yeah.
So Ed, you've never gone rafting? Is it
He
canoeing or
was
rafting that
It
you
kayaking.
did?
was
He,
kayaking
he was on like
21
a
miles on
popsicle
the
Oh,
stick.
Rio
He was
kayak.
Grande
like a popsicle stick. He
in
thought
the
he would take
winter.
that down.
Yeah, it
So,
was
and
not.
somebody,
It
and
was
so when
the
he
first
tells me
time.
this before he goes, right, he's telling me he's going on this journey, right? And I'm like, so have you kayaked before? No, I've never kayaked. And I'm thinking he's going to be in one of those dudes where they put you in like a little rubber thing, right? I mean, it's wintertime, for crying out loud. I mean, it's,
That's a sit-in. You're talking about a sit-in kayak,
yeah,
right?
I don't know what they call it, but it's little, and I've
Sit-in.
seen
Yeah.
people in that, and you got to people practicing like a swimming pool before they ever go, rolling over, because you're not getting out of that, dude. You roll over,
Well, I
and
practiced in our community lake.
oh, you did
I
actually
practiced in our
practice.
community lake.
Okay, so he did practice. I didn't know
A
that,
little
but
bit, yeah.
anyway,
From back to my hunting trip in October, where we were lost in the middle of the night, midnight, in sub-freezing temperatures, um, till 2 in the morning, um, to this trip on the Rio Grande, which is beautiful, by the way. If you haven't been to Big Bend, I've driven in proximity of it hundreds of times in my life. Never went in. It's one of the most beautiful things we probably have in Texas, if not the most beautiful thing. I mean, it's super clean. The river, you can't even imagine it's the same river that you see on the news at night for different reasons, um, or just portions of the river that I've been exposed to over time, over my life. It's incredible, but water flows at different rates through different times of the year. So Hanaro had gone at a different time of the year. It wasn't quite as challenging, although he'd been monitoring it and was still supposedly kind of a beginner intermediate type thing. But yeah, as Craig said, I was basically on a popsicle stick. The first day wasn't so bad. So it was 21 miles. We did 11 miles, and then we camped at the entry point of Santa Elena Canyon, which is crazy, beautiful, this huge canyon I can't even describe. By then, I had already flipped over once. And it's misleading because parts of the river are super shallow and there's like rocky, rapid, shallow. And then there's where the river kind of bottlenecks and you think you can get through. And I flipped over in one of those and literally couldn't touch the bottom. I mean, you're going along, you're thinking you're in knee deep water, and then all of a sudden fall in, and I didn't touch the bottom. The tether on my paddle wrapped around my leg, and I'm trying to control the thing and not let the current take it, because there's no AAA out there to come save you. There's not even cell service, so you're all those things are going through your mind. I had one of those self-inflating life vests, but I had deactivated the part that self-inflates when you go into the water, because I knew I would fall in at one point. So in my mind, I'm wondering whether or not I should pull on this thing. Like, am I going to die if I don't? And so then fast forward, we camped that night. It was awesome. And the next day through that canyon was literally like Hell's Canyon. I didn't get to enjoy it as much as I'd like because I was too busy looking downriver to see what was coming next. Turns, corners, boulders, all kinds of different stuff. So I want to go back with a guide. There's people that are way more capable than me. We did see one group. They were all in one raft with a dude that knew what he was doing. And in a raft, now those tend to like bounce off objects, and you can kind of get them under control. In a kayak, super tippy. You hit one rock and you're flipped over. And my nothing against Academy, but it was like an Academy special kayak. So yeah, that was coming out. We came out right at dark. We were both exhausted. Luckily, we had hired a guide to drop our truck off at the exit point, or else you have to make an appointment, because you're going in. It's almost like you got to get an Uber, but with somebody who can haul all your stuff. I don't want to dissuade anybody from going. You don't have to do this type of program that we did. You can go like literally ride in the back of a safari Jeep, and people can tell you about the park and all that cool stuff. And there's a resort in Lajitas, and there's camping spots and caves you can stay in that are like converted into like luxury hotel rooms and geodesic domes. But Big Bend is legit. Like, it's from Marathon, from going in there, we drove 70 miles before we got in the park before we got to the station where we had to get our permits. It's huge. It is really, really big. Yeah, the highest point I think is in there is almost 7,000 feet, which is crazy. You don't think there's peaks that tall in Texas. So, yeah, you made me tell you the story in a nutshell.
That's
my
a great
but
story.
there's more to come.
So,
On this,
so your worst,
on the
your
Ed
best
Todd
and
Death Wish Tour 50th.
Your best and worst of 2022 all occurred inside of a week. Yeah,
I think so.
That's pretty compact.
I don't know. Colorado was a pretty great trip this year.
Yeah, but you wouldn't characterize it. Would you characterize that
great.
as your best, better than surviving the river rafting? Would you put that ahead of surviving?
Well, nothing's better than
Correct.
living. Yeah, nothing's better than living.
Yeah,
but it was a great trip.
I think that you had 52 weeks that you lived last year, and you lived the highest and lowest all in one, which is pretty crazy to think about. So you kind of just messed around. 51 weeks out of the year, you really didn't do much. 50 in 1 week, you freaking hit a high and low.
I sent some pictures to my mom. Okay, so I sent some pictures to my mom. And, being as moms are, she's like, what are you doing? Why? I mean, that looks dangerous. Why would you do that? And I liken it to my hunting excursions, which is, it's not so much the activity, which I love to hunt, don't get me wrong, but when you're in that moment and you're not thinking about anything else, you're not thinking about bills, you're not thinking about what you didn't do at work or what your to-do list is or anything. That's a zone that, man, it's addicting. Even when I was like, fighting for my life, which I literally was, I mean, I was doing it, right? I mean, I think, and I told Ashley this earlier, I said, I think myself from 5 years ago, I don't know if I would have gotten out of that place because it tested me completely physically. So
yeah, in the spirit of trips, and that adrenaline that you got, I would say my least favorite part of 2022 is when I was actually in Hawaii. I've never gone to Hawaii before, and my husband surprised me in February as like a nice trip. I had to take a month off in January for health reasons, and February surprised me with a trip to Hawaii, me, him, and Ariel. So long story short, in that high, in not worrying about bills, not worrying about back home, enjoying the sceneries of Oahu, Hawaii, and just everything around you is just so wonderful. So my daughter and I, we go into the ABC store. That's like the regular convenience store in Hawaii. And it's like a mall strip that we are visiting. And again, you're on cloud nine. You're not thinking about anything bad that could happen. And my daughter at the time is 14 years old. And she wanted to buy me a present and her dad a present, but she wanted it to be a surprise. And I said, okay, I'm gonna walk over here. Don't leave this store. And when you go and buy your present, just come get me where these sodas are. I kid you not. 5 minutes later, I look and she's not there. She's not at the cashier. And instantly my heart dropped. I mean, even though she's a teenager, I have never, ever lost my kid. I have never, ever been in a situation where she was overly hurt, had to go to the hospital, done stitches. I've never been in that situation of being worried about my daughter. And in that situation, it went from being on cloud nine to I went completely panic mode. I'm screaming for her, Ariel. I'm going to the cashier. Did you see a girl? She's about my height. She's long hair. And I'm running all over. Like I knew somebody took my kid. I knew she had gotten kidnapped. Like I already knew it. And I panicked. It was 3 minutes. Ariel comes running. She's at another store. She was also in panic mode. She thought she lost me. We must have crossed paths, and she was coming to me and I was coming to her. She thought I left. She went out into another store. we found each other, but at that moment was the worst of 2022. I thought my daughter got kidnapped, and it was the scariest that
Scarier
I've
than
ever
when
felt
you
in my
were
entire life.
on the floor in the hotel room crawling out of the bathtub.
That was the scariest when you thought, when you think for a second that your kid is not coming back to you,
Yeah,
that
we've been
is the
down there.
worst feeling in the entire world. What was yours? What was your 2022?
Well, what I have to go with is it's both, and I will characterize both my favorite thing and my worst thing are in the same deal, similar to Ed's. Mine didn't occur in the same week, but yeah. So snowboarding, as we've talked before, is like my thing. Exactly what Ed said. It's the one thing in my life that, man, when I'm doing that, I really don't think about anything else, because if I do, I'm in trouble. And and I've had many instances, but yeah. So early part of the year, so last year, but just before, while as the season was in 2022 early on. Actually, one of my favorite things of the year was Mason skiing. That's another story, but that's another great freaking story. Yeah. So no, I got injured. Um, well, I mean, yeah, it was injured. I mean, it was pretty bad. It didn't seem that bad, but in snowboarding, when you fall, you fast. And day one on this particular one week we were going, and I fell on my ass. And man, I mean, it's like excruciating pain if you hit your tailbone, if you hit it just right, right? And I proceeded to hit that same spot multiple times over the next couple of days, and it swelled up. It got pretty very nasty. Uh, and it's one of those things where for me, it wasn't that was the problem. It was just like, am I ever going to freaking be able
Sit
to,
down again.
do this without killing myself, right? I mean, well, yeah, I was the sit down again was certainly an important deal, but no, it's
The
like,
snow, you know.
I'm in my fifth year of doing this thing, and it's like, I'm old. I mean, I'm gonna freaking break. At some point, am I ever gonna get proficient enough where I'm just not killing myself without trying to do something remarkable, like trying to make a jump or something? So that was one of the things that at the point in the time is like, that sucks. That is a major downer, super painful. Am I going to keep this up? Kind of a deal. To finally, fast forward. And I've been earlier this year, but after that, I went a couple more times. But I finally have gotten to the point where, knock on wood, uh, I'm actually snowboarding. And I'm actually snowboarding with confidence, and starting to pick it up and getting better. And like I say, that sport has been super. Like I say, it's been great for me, just because I tell people I used to snow ski, but I tell you, it is the hardest thing I've ever tried to learn in my life. And it's in the top three things that I'm the most proudest of learning how to do, because it is such a painful learning curve, especially for an old dude.
Wow.
So,
I've never snowboarded. I can ride a skateboard, but I've never snowboarded, and I'm planning on. I think we need to have a long conversation because in March I'm planning on giving it a try.
let's talk to Mason first. Of course, Mason didn't try snowboarding;
Yeah,
he
what
wanted to
was
try
that story,
skiing.
Mason?
So basically, what happens is Craig and Tanya invite us to the Santa Fe house for about a week after Christmas, and we go up there. My gift from Craig was skiing lessons. Right? He is like, you're probably not good enough to snowboard. You're not cool like that. I mean, that's for me and Granger. You're going to be skiing. I was like, okay, I want to snowboard, but I guess whatever.
What?
So this dude, so he gets me the lesson. We go up to the mountain. Last lesson of the day, right? They're gonna basically it's 2 hours before the mountain closes. That's the entirety of this lesson. I'm stuck in the largest lesson group from what this guy's telling us. Basically, mostly kids and old people, and this guy is just not having a good time. He's distracted by all the kids that just keep wanting to give up or leave and stuff. So like I'm getting the basics painfully slow. They're like, okay, you got a pizza wedge. That's how you do it. If you're trying to turn, this is what you do. And I'm like, okay, but a lot of it is just me waiting. And they got us going up this little bunny slope at the very end of the lesson. It's me and this one girl. We're the only ones left. And it's just like a little conveyor belt. You put your skis on, they take you up, and then you just come down. And like the angle is like this, right? It is not real chill.
So where it's a video, if you're not watching the video, folks, the angle is
No.
not very, it would be what, 5 degrees,
10 degrees,
maybe?
maybe 15. But real chill. And I'm
Okay.
I'm cutting my teeth on confidence over here. You know, I'm like, oh yeah, this is freaking easy. So the lesson ends. I'm feeling good. I'm like, hey, cool. I know how to ski. And Craig's like, hey, you know what? Sorry that, you know, that ended really short. You know, we'll come back another day. We'll get you out here.
Black diamond.
We skipped it. So we skipped the next day. And here it is. 2 days later, we're on the mountain. Bright and early. This time I'm dressed appropriately because I didn't have the appropriate expectations. My shoes were freaking wet standing in a like 2-hour line the first day.
Oh yeah, that's right. Mason wore moccasins with a hole.
No,
he wore moccasins.
They were
with
crappy shoes. I brought some crappy shoes just in case, but that sucked. Oh my god. But anyways,
and hang on, we get to the mountain. Okay, so Mason is oozing with confidence. Okay,
I'm feeling good.
he is like, in fact, he is chuckling at the fact that we warned him how difficult being up here would be, and it's like so. And we haven't seen him, mind you.
Craig
We have
has
not
no
seen
idea.
all of his skills.
Craig thinks like he just sent me.
Zero idea.
He put me through freaking, you know, the Royal Ski Academy. You know, in his mind, he's like, oh, he's got it. So we go up, and he's like, hey, you'll just follow me and Granger up.
Now,
and so
after
we're on
day.
this. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, he kind of characterized himself as that. It's like, oh man, this
whatever. So Craig's like, hey, you come up the lift with us, right? And so I'm like, okay, cool. Never been on a lift. I was like, oh, how do you do this? That should have been like kind of
red flag.
Craig should have known. Exactly. And so straight up, I'm just like, wow, this is taking a long time. This is a very long ride, you know, like holy shit, like. And we finally get up to the top, and Granger's like, yeah, man, just follow me. And I am bewildered at this point, like, because I didn't realize, like, I thought that there would just be like, hey, you just go down the straight line. And we're having to take all these, like, turns, and I'm seeing, like, oh, don't go down the blue diamond, black diamond. I'm like, oh, you know, shit. So I'm trying to follow Granger the best I can, and I'm falling down. But once we get to the main part, the main thing that took forever to go up in the ski lift, I cannot slow down. Like, I am going in a straight line down this freaking mountain with my legs, the skis pizza wedge. You're supposed to angle your toes in. And I'm just like fire on the snow just behind me. Like, and I just keep I'm hitting the ground so often because I get up, I pick up way too much speed. I didn't realize you've got to go around, cut the mountain. I've seen it in videos, didn't think to do it.
Apparently they didn't teach traversing in the class, which
not at all. So as I'm going down the mountain uncontrollably, falling and just gaining too much speed and avoiding kids, I'm worried that I'd been reading signs all up along the ski lift saying, hey, you know, you can suffocate in a tree well. Don't you hit a tree, the freaking snow will fall on you, just die. Nobody's going to know. And here I am just picturing my daughter like, okay, well, you know, there's Violet's going to be without a dad. All these terrible thoughts. I got to the bottom of that mountain, and I was upset. I was frustrated. I was scared. I had all this anxiety, and I just fumed in the clubhouse for like 2 hours. I was like, I'm not going back up on the mountain. And so over time, you know, Craig and Granger are checking on me. I'm like, no, I'm okay. You know, just mad. And I finally was like, look, I'm all right. Already, second day, we already, everything's already paid for. Might as well just freaking do it. So I started, building up my confidence again, tiny, small ones, right? And feeling good. I've gone up a lift, I've come down it, feeling all right. I'm like, okay, well, you know what? It's like the last of the call for the mountain. They're about to close. And I'm like, screw it. I'm going to go up. I'm going to do the same one that we did the first time. I feel like I can handle it now. I'm like, I got this. We had met, or we were supposed to meet Tanya, Laura, and Violet to take some photos, some pictures and stuff like that. They were going to come up the mountain. We were going to meet them down there. I forgot about this. So I'm now sitting in the lift. Mountain is dead. Nobody, like, last lift up, and I'm sitting next to a woman who's snowboarding. And I'm really starting to, Craig calls me. He's like, hey, where are you at? We got to go. And I'm like, I'm on the lift. He's like,
So he's been not, yeah. So I'm caught. So we're at the car, right? So everybody knew we were going down the mountain, and he'd been in the club, and so I'm thinking, he's packing up his stuff. He'll meet us down. So I call him, and he's like, I said, hey, dude, where you at? I'm on the lift. What do you mean you're on the lift? I was like, the mountain's closing, dude, and we got to get down. He just started, and then the phone breaks up.
yeah.
And then that's the last I hear from him. Like I say, all I know is he's on this. And I turned to Granger and said, "Oh my God!" I was like, "He just went back up." And so go ahead, continue on, because I don't know what happens.
So this conversation, I'm like, crap. That's right. We're supposed to do that. So there's anxiety in me. I'm like, oh, we're gonna be late. I'm gonna miss that. Yada yada. And then I'm starting to notice that there's nobody on this mountain, and it's darker. It is now. The sunlight's going. It's like 4:30. It's closing time, and it's getting dark, and it's getting lonely. And so now I'm like, whoa, this was a bad idea. This was just terrible. Because now if I fall and eat it, at least beforehand, there's going to be 20 people or 30 people that see me eat shit in the side under a tree. Now there's like nobody, and so I make it harrowingly. Snow's picked up a lot more. Visibility's worse. I'm just trying to remember the same path that we took beforehand. And it was so nerve-wracking. I literally, I've got some gray hair right here, some whites, and I think it happened on that trip because I was so
I can still
scared
see your hands
and nervous
shaking when you're telling the story.
But that was, gosh, I can't tell you. I mean, I cried with tears when he first told that story. It was such a great story because I know him and I know his I can only imagine in his mind, as because I know what the mountain looks like at closing time, right? So we usually try and catch the last lift. We would have caught it. We would have been there had we not had to be down the mountain. But oh my God, I can only imagine what it was like for him. And the snow had started and the clouds had come in. I mean, yeah, I'm sure he.
Oh,
All right, so that's 22, and we obviously have blown past any chance of making this a 45-minute show,
Through
which
the magic
that's
of
okay.
editing.
Mason will make it a 2-shower or something. He'll figure something out. So the magic of editing. But I want to get to 2023 for everybody, right? So 2023 is here. We've already got 3 or 4 weeks under our belt. Whether it's not necessarily a resolution or whatever, but what is it that you're looking ahead to in 2023? What's a milestone? What's a goal? What is it that you've got? So, and Ashley, we're going to start with you. You being the guest, you go first. So, what do you got for
This is gonna be
2023?
good.
This one
I
looks
can
like this
tell.
is an easier one for you to tell than the lost daughter story.
well, the
So.
2023. Okay, so last time we talked, I told you guys another one of my goals was to create like a nonprofit. So 2023, that's our year. We're going to create a nonprofit and start working on our disaster relief and our ways to give back to our community the right way. So we have, I told y'all last time we had bought some land in Lockhart, 11 acres. And
Mhm.
oh my gosh,
Right.
the the limits we thought we had of what we could accomplish on that land has gone out the window. We've pushed ourselves so hard in learning how to practically build a house at this point. Like we are doing our own framing of the place. We've put in our own insulation. I've been putting up drywall. I'm YouTube certified in a lot of constructional areas now. And the motivation
Awesome.
all came from my grandpa. So my grandpa Ojeda is my hero, and Ed knows the day I got the news that he had passed. So in his honor of 2023, not only am I going to give back to my community in my nonprofit for disaster relief, but I'm going to do some things that he did when he was growing up and building his own things, and just learning how to use these two hands to just make history for myself. Like I think it's going to be real neat down the line, whether we sell our land or pass it down to my daughter and be like, your mom and dad built that. and tell the stories like my grandpa did when he would tell me. So yeah.
Ashley, I think we should start having you go last, actually, because it's really
Well,
gonna make
and
whatever I had planned for
I love her
2023
goal
kind of
when she
seem
says it,
insignificant.
knowing full well that not many building inspectors listen to this podcast.
To be fair, I learned how to get my own. I've
They probably
learned
don't
how to
even
get
have
my
building
own
inspectors out there.
permits, and the right people that I have to talk to. Like septic, I'm not going to do that myself. Like I know I have to pay someone to do that. Electrician, I know I have to pay someone to get that. And so I did learn that from my grandpa too, because my grandpa did all that himself, and we had to pay for that in learning on to sell his house, because that man, he rigged so many things. And I knew, okay, I have my limits for sure, but
My limits,
there's things to get YouTube certified on.
and when it comes to construction at demolition, I'm good at demolition. I did a lot of demolition, but that's about it.
Yeah. I learned how to work a chainsaw. I can cut down a tree. I can,
That can be kind of scary.
some good
First
stuff.
time with a chainsaw. It's not easy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was intimidating for sure, but I'm getting better at it.
Hmm. Yeah, when I had the 5 acres, I did some of those things. I didn't build any houses or nothing, but I learned enough that it was not something I wanted to do ever. That any of that work was all the things that I was like, you know what? I mean, from mowing to cutting down trees to building barbed wire fence to all those kind of things, all the things that I had dreamed of as a kid, that yeah, out, the land and cowboy lifestyle or whatever. I figured out, yeah, I'm a city kid.
Well, I
I
bet you're
like
a
city
great
stuff.
neighbor.
So, yeah, none of that was for me. So,
I'm glad you're not my neighbor. I said, boy, you
what's
must
that?
be a great neighbor.
Yeah. Yeah. No, well, I live in places that don't require anything. You just move to townhouses, and that way you avoid having to do any of that kind of stuff. But yeah, actually, that's very impressive, and wow, again, inspirational. So I can't wait to hear what inspirational aspirations are. So Ed, for 2023, buddy, what are you following up? Are you learning to build a
No, I'm
house or
not doing
anything?
that. But
Starting a nonprofit?
I said it before. This will mark my 50th year on this planet, and I plan on taking every opportunity to do something out of my comfort zone, or take the opportunity to see and do things that I've never done before, perhaps some that I have. Maybe I'm hyping it up too much, but I've gotten off to a pretty good start. But yeah, I just want to have a good. I was joking when I said it's my Death Wish tour, my 50th year Death Wish tour, but there's going to be some challenging stuff in there. So it almost seems like every month, like what? So we
Yeah,
did, hunting
I
in
hope not,
October,
because I'd have to
November, and
find.
then December we did the kayaking thing, and then this month we'll have our annual daddy-daughter camping trip with some friends, and then in March we'll go skiing, and then in April there's a big golf trip that's getting put together. So yeah, I'm booked till about May at this point.
Have you ever gone skydiving?
I've never done that. It doesn't really appeal to me. I mean, I think I'd almost like tandem base jump before I'd skydive, but I mean, it's crossed my mind, but it's not that appealing to me. Yeah.
One of the best experiences of my life was skydiving.
Really?
Mhm. Yeah.
Laura would say the same.
Well, I'll tell you what I know
It's
I'm
worth
not
it.
going to do.
Consider it.
I'm not going to go to any training that Craig has to offer has anything to do with as far as lessons are concerned when it comes to skydiving.
Yeah, he'll get you the deepest discount lessons. He'd be like, "Oh wait, he got fired? Well, nah, he's probably still okay."
So yeah, that was so we did get I forgot to tell you all that. Yeah, I found a guy on the mountain that was
He got-
handing out lessons, and that's how I got Mason lessons. With just some rando guy that was charging $50. Said, "You're perfect, just exactly what we
No,
need."
the
So
first thing the guy said to Craig was like, "Hey man, you got any like cigarette butts I can get?" And Craig's like, "Nah, but do you do ski lessons?" He's like, "Yeah, if you
Hey,
want." And that's how it happened, I'm
Groupon's
sure.
still a thing? Because it was probably a
oh,
Groupon if I
so
know Craig.
So
we do.
2023, what are your goals,
Mine.
Craig? What's your
Oh man, go well. I guess thing I got big planned is and then this has just recently come about. So you'd have to see where we live in downtown Tucson, but it's in downtown Tucson. It's in kind of it is an urban area that's got retail and stuff going on, and we're actually going to move up out to more of the suburb kind of a deal of Tucson. And so we were going to sell this place, but hated to because and Tanya, my wife's an artist and this that and that. So this year the plan is, and we'll see, is we're going to open up a wine and tapas and art, and possibly for me like an area for cigar smoking, but the wine and tapas for sure here in downtown Tucson. So that's kind of the big project underway for us, and big exciting deal because I've always wanted to do, and I have a whole nother plan of at least me DJing, and I'm setting up a nightclub, and I'm going to be a DJ. I got all these big future plans for that, and this is kind of like the precursor, right? Because up until this event, Tanya is like, hell no, you're not doing that. And so if I can at least get like a wine tasting place set up, I think I can progress from wine tasting to nightclub. So, but this is the first foray into Craig and his party.
Do you already have your beer and wine license?
No, I just got the license from Tanya
Okay.
in the last week or so. So this is all brand new. Yeah. Yeah, I just got that approval. Or actually, it was her idea, which is even better. Because I mean, it is great. I mean, it's a great area. So there's a lot of work to be done. We got to get the license. We've got to get the approval. So within this, where we're at, fortunately, retail is a thing. And you can set that up. It's like a old Spanish village, European village type setup that they got just off the west side of downtown Tucson. So yeah, I think we'll be able to get it all done. I don't know. It's a hurdle. I got a lot of learning to do. Probably a lot of unfortunate things to happen. In the process of learning and figuring it out. Yeah,
That's
looking
awesome.
forward to it. And yeah, I mean, then goal wise, I mean, for me is realistically, um, continue to try, and I still find myself, not always being in the moment, right? And living it. We talk about what was 2022. What I realized when I start to look back out over a year, how much I don't remember, right? And then maybe you go across a photograph or you see something in the news or whatever, and oh yeah, that was great, that was bad, or whatever. So I'm going to try and, like, at the end of each month, write down that month, kind of what I did, what's going on, and was I present? How did I do? Da 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 da. So when I go into like February, I can maybe have more. I don't know, but try and be more aware, be more attentive, be more present. Um, thing for me, even, and as I've tried, but being present, I mean, I'm always like, I can't help myself. And I'm always thinking about 15, 20 minutes, 2 days in front of me. I mean, it's like I miss out on so much in the moment because I'm always like, wow, da, 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 da. So we'll see. Those are my
That's
things for
amazing.
2023.
I think that's been something my husband and I have learned to recognize is the journey is the dream. Like right now is the dream. Like you are living it. The present is
Yeah.
the dream, not when you get there. When you get there, it's done, it's complete, but the dream is getting to it. So
And that's where all the fun's at. And there's an old motivational speaker years ago, Bob Mowat was the guy, and his was, and there's several people that have coined a phrase similar to this, but it's the hunt that's the thrill, not the
yeah,
kill. And and that's going to be my quote for today. I didn't want it to be, but now I do. So Ed, mark that down. My first 2023 quote
Oh,
is, "It's the hunt that's the thrill, not the kill."
so my quote
On
is
the
one
way.
that I shared
There you go, buddy.
with our
The
Clean the
challenge.
Challenge team a couple days ago, and it is every man has two lives, and the second starts when he realizes he has just one. So I had something ready for you,
yeah.
but
You did, and that is a good one. You shared that with us as a group
we're out
earlier,
of
and
time.
yeah, I
But
like that. I love it.
I was going to talk about New Year's resolutions and how they don't really
Well, hang
work.
on. Uh,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I want to get Mason. I want to get Mason.
Mason, what do you have for
I want to get
2023?
Mason's 2023. Let's we've got him
Skiing?
in here.
No skiing?
Did you have you set out anything in 2020? I mean, you well, hey, this guy, and I can't believe he didn't mention. So you finished your college.
Yeah, I've got my degree, and I'm outside of the point where I've got to T-Mobile paid for some of my bachelor's, so I'm now at a point. January 4th was the last day I had to stay with the company. I can now leave without having to pay them back like 20 grand. So I'm looking to do that. 2023 is going to be finally the time that I get out of T-Mobile and start working towards more creative project-based things, ideally through as a software developer, but we'll see. I heard the tech market's not looking great. But I'm going to continue to try and also hone my video skills. So I want to try and get some video stuff. So if your new tapas place, Craig, needs some marketing materials or, sexy videos, I
I,
got you, man.
I need somebody to
He needs
run it.
somebody to keep him
Why don't
from
you come out
eating
here
Well,
and
we can
run
talk
it?
all
about
the
salary, and you
profits.
know what? Hey,
That's what he needs.
Yeah.
that's right. Well, I'm not a big drinker, but
Yeah.
I think I could do that. Oh,
Well, we can definitely.
Did you guys hear Laura? She was like, "Here's your whiskey."
Yeah, I'm not a big drinker.
I'm
Here's your
not. She was
whiskey.
just like, "Hey, do you want anything?" I was like, "Yeah, let me get one."
Well,
So, yeah. So those are my goals.
it is Friday.
That's awesome.
All right, so Ed, you were trying
Just
to
a
close us
teaser.
out
I
here.
think
We're having such a
we could
great time.
probably
The party's going, and
we
you're
could
bringing in
probably well, hey,
you're
I could have
bringing in the
gone a whole
pooper.
podcast without a pooping story, which you already dropped the bomb literally and figuratively on earlier, but yeah.
First show out of the year, we got a pooping
I
story
think we
in.
could
That's good.
spend a whole hour talking about New Year's resolutions. I just don't believe in them, but I was reading an article about New Year's resolutions, and I wouldn't say it's a misconception, but I think they're a little misguided, and I think it sets you up for failure. I mean, a good kind of breakdown of it is that your resolution is the desired outcome, and so what people fail to do is plan appropriately. Your goals, in this instance, the author of this article is writing and said that your goals are the steps to get you to the desired outcome, and so it really has a lot to do with perspective on how you look at a New Year's resolution. If it's the outcome is not going to happen, January 1st. So that's kind of a downer, you think?
Oh, maybe Maybe August
Yeah.
1st. That's all I'm asking for. August 1st, September 1st. We got the grand opening. Ed, you're welcome to come out. You'll be you know what? We're gonna have a senior citizen
I'll
discount
have
for
my ARP
everybody over
card by
50,
then.
so you'll be qualified by then.
Are we good? Mm-hmm.
I know you will.
Yeah. I'll
Yeah,
go in there and
so
start a
you're gonna be
fight.
awesome. So,
Start a bar fight.
oh my goodness, Ashley, this has been amazing. Yeah. Well, you might be able to handle some of the folks here. I'm not sure any other bars, but the ones at this one, yeah, I think you'll be able to go toe to toe with that.
Yeah. Well, Craig and Mason, it's been nice catching up with y'all, seeing y'all. Thank you for welcoming me back. Thank you for letting me be the first to launch your year of 2023. Excited to watch your new podcast videos that are going to come up and edit this however you want to edit this. You won't hurt my feelings if things are cut out. But it's been a pleasure catching up with you guys.
That is it, guys. That's one in the books. Mason, Ashley, Edward, thank you guys all very much. Everybody have themselves a lovely weekend, and we'll be seeing you guys soon.